How terrifying was the sheer simulation capability of a complete virtual reality system. It could conjure any scene imaginable. It held the power to fulfill every single human fantasy. This stripped-down version, however, limited its scope solely to combat scenarios. That meant generating ferocious beasts and their corresponding environments, a gauntlet against which one could test their mettle. Generate a Tier 3 lower-rank flame tiger. With a mere thought, Ethan's surroundings dissolved and reformed. Before him materialized a blazing tiger of startling realism. An exact replica of the creature he had witnessed in the real world. The beast's roar ripped through the air like burning silk. Taking a powerful stride, the fiery tiger charged. "Let me test how difficult it is to deal with you without resorting to ice blast." Ethan raised his black dragon spear, meeting the charge head-on. Iced by meek, range skills allowed him the crucial advantage of striking first. Several razor-sharp ice blades streaked past, effortlessly slicing through the flame tiger's hide, carving wounds that exposed the tender flesh beneath. The flame tiger cried out in agony, stumbling back before spitting a massive torrent of fire. A searing fireball hurtled toward him. Good timing, Ethan's brow arched slightly. In the next instant, a shimmering layer of ice shield materialized beside him. The fireball struck the frozen barrier, unleashing a blinding cloud of white smoke. To his surprise, he felt no residual shockwave. No lingering heat. The frozen shield had completely nullified the flame tiger's attack. "You beast, take this." Ethan surged forward with ice flash, achieving a maximum displacement of 25 meters. Before the flaming tiger could even gather itself, Ethan unleashed a rapid succession of piercing shots. The creature struggled desperately to raise its paws in defense. The ensuing battle was brutal and relentless. One focused shot blinded the flame tiger, causing it to bleed profusely from its eyes. The beast recoiled, writhing on the ground in intense pain. Koto Ethan struck with lethal precision. "Not bad," Ethan murmured, a satisfied smile touching his lips. "Even without using Ice Blast, I can now handle a lower-tier third-grade flame tiger." Immediately after, Ethan's mind stirred again. He summoned another flaming tiger, this one set at the mid-level of the third tier, but immobilized, merely a fleshy, dangerous prop. Ice Baiji unleashed, ice explosion. The mid-tier beast was not instantly annihilated. It staggered and screamed in agony. Only after the second blast did its life force finally extinguish. "I can use Ice Blast at full power 3 times, he mused, lowering his head in contemplation. "As long as I am careful. A mid to third grade flame tiger won't pose much of a threat in actual combat." He continued this pattern, using random generation to summon either 2 lower-level or 1 middle-level third-grade beast, engaging them until exhaustion. The purpose was pure refinement to hone his practical experience. Crucially, Ethan did not reduce the pain level. He demanded the most realistic battle possible. Sometimes a stray blow from another ferocious creature would knock him off balance, sending him sprawling and unable to recover. Fortunately, this wasn't reality. Here, failure had only endless opportunities for practice. These were the most valuable lessons. The battles, he admitted, were utterly addictive. 2 hours later, still feeling an unquenched thirst for conflict, Ethan chose to voluntarily exit the virtual reality and lifted the helmet from his head. "What a pity," he sighed. "Killing ferocious beasts in virtual reality doesn't grant evolution points." If only he could exploit that loophole, Ethan felt certain he would soon become untouchable. The system, however, remained stubbornly resistant to such exploits. Even after dinner, Ethan did not retreat to his dormitory. After a short walk to digest the meal, he returned to the Crystal Spire Hall to continue his training. Coincidentally, the delivery address for the bottle of Tier 2 frozen gathering liquid that he had purchased yesterday was set right here at the Crystal Spire Hall. Inside, special lockers awaited each regular student. There the bottle of second-tier frozen essence liquid rested. Ethan retrieved it and happily entered a B-level cultivation room. As his strength rapidly increased, the original C-level training room had become wholly inadequate for absorbing the elemental energy he now required. This feels incredible. The moment the door to the rank B training room opened, a chilling aura carrying with it an even denser concentration of raw elemental power poured out. Ethan narrowed his eyes, instantly feeling a profound sense of refreshment. The price for a grade B training room was 3 times that of a grade C. Ethan wasted no time. He quickly found a spot, shed his outer garment, and settled into meditation. Next, he opened the stopper on the bottle containing the second-tier frozen gathering liquid. He took a light sniff. There was no strange odor. Following instructions, he intended to apply the liquid evenly across his entire body. The moment the essence made contact with his skin, an intense, cooling sensation began to penetrate from the surface. The comfort was indescribable, almost making him sigh in sheer pleasure. After regaining his composure, Ethan applied the gathering essence liquid all over. He felt himself transform into a giant magnet. The surrounding elemental energy behaved like iron filings scattered across a field. He absorbed it frantically. This process could be described by one word: awesome. The peak effect of this second-stage frozen essence was achieved within half an hour. Ethan naturally wasted no time. Closing his eyes, while the effects were at their zenith, he greedily drew in every surrounding wisp of elemental energy. Time dissolved into seconds. An hour later, Ethan opened his eyes with a deep sense of satisfaction. Although the optimal effect of this second-tier liquid only lasted for half an hour, the act of cultivation itself was profoundly captivating, drawing him into a state where he lost all track of time. The effect is truly remarkable, no wonder it costs so much, he thought, giving himself a mental thumbs up. He made a swift decision and placed an order for 10 bottles of second-stage frozen primordial liquid. 200 credits vanished from his account. After completing the cultivation cycle, as soon as left the rank B training room, the dense elemental energy in the surrounding air instantly dissipated. The activity within his cells dropped significantly, and a wave of profound fatigue surged through his body. Ethan couldn't help but yawn. He immediately exited the Crystal Spire Hall and headed back to his dormitory. Inside the dormitory across the street, a cheerful energy pulsed through the air. "Isawian, let's get started." A bright, expectant gleam lit up Amelia's eyes. Little Blue, the companion beast, could not speak in full sentences yet, but its anticipation was clear in the rhythmic calls of its calls. Spread across the low table were the delectable creations Clara had just finished, a colorful array of miniature cakes. Food was Clara's great passion. She constantly baked elaborate dishes for her friends and family to savor. Today at the table sat Amelia, acting as the official judge, alongside Xiaolan, her beloved companion beast. Xiaolan looked particularly adorable, sporting a tiny napkin tied around its neck while its tongue peeked out, twitching slightly with every breath. A dozen minutes later, Amelia smacked her lips. This matter was concluded. The following day, under Ethan's expectant gaze, the eggshell began to pulse with a faint, ethereal blue fluorescence, like polished glass coated in a thin sheet of glacial ice. Slowly, delicate fractures spiderwebbed across its surface. 9, 8, 7. As seconds bled away, the cracks deepened and multiplied until the shell seemed ready to give way. 3, 2, 1. The moment the counter hit 0, the ice serpent egg shattered completely in a shower of crystalline fragments. Yet, Ethan paid no mind to the scattered shards. His companion beast had already emerged from its shell. A fissure, patterned like delicate frost webbing, split across the top of the eggshell. A silvery white snout pushed through the break, radiating an aura so chilling it felt palpable as it forced open the remnants of the husk. Before Ethan's eyes materialized a small snake. Its entire body was the color of glacial ice blue, and its scales caught the light with a cold sheen, like perfectly formed crystals. It coiled its slender form and slid free from the shell. Where the tip of its tail swept, a delicate layer of frost instantly condensed upon the fragments. It tilted its head slightly, flicking out a tongue that trailed a wisp of white mist, licking away the last vestiges of the eggshell's scent. Its icy amber eyes slowly opened. Too gent from an extremely cold land, glowing with the fresh chill and vibrant life of a newborn creature. Following the ancient rites of bonding between superhuman and companion beast, Ethan required to offer his own blood, orally, to the newly hatched ice shard serpent. After pricking his thumb with a spike generated by his internal energy, Ethan gently guided his finger into the serpent's mouth. Throughout the process, the ice-sharp serpent accepted small sips of Ethan's blood without resistance. It was twofold. First, it was newly born and still somewhat bewildered. Second, Ethan was the very first creature it had seen upon its emergence. forging an immediate, undeniable bond. Thus the contract between master and companion beast was sealed. Immediately the panel displaying the ice shard serpent's status shifted before Ethan's eyes. The companion beast was now identified as the ice shard serpent, in the lower Tier 1 realm, with potential advancement to upper Tier 4. Simultaneous with the presence of the ice serpent, Ethan felt a subtle but distinct increase in the flow of ice-type elemental energy within his own body. It was minor, currently hovering around 2%. Fortunately, the problem was not critical. As the ice serpent's realm advanced, the amplification it provided to him would only grow stronger. As Thomas had wisely advised, play to your strengths and avoid your weaknesses. A companion beast of the same type can slightly accelerate the growth of both of you under the influence of the contract relationship, and also enhance the power it brings to this element. Although fire-type ability users outnumbered other elemental types, truly ferocious ice beasts were exceedingly rare. Combining these two factors was precisely why Ethan had chosen an ice-type companion. Master. The serpent swarmed forward, its 30-centimeter length coiling gently around Ethan's wrist. From Mom, Ethan murmured, affectionately stroking the snake's head, "I'll call you Xiao Bing." Xiao Bing's forked tongue trembled slightly, and its slender tail twitched with visible contentment. "Thank you, Master. I truly love that name." The thought resonated clearly in his mind. For the next 10 days, Ethan maintained a rigorous routine. He met Thomas every morning to study the SS-grade skill book, Extreme Ice Illusion Killing Array, and spent his afternoons and evenings at the Crystal Spire Hall training alongside Xiao Bing. Influenced by her master's dedication, Xiao Bing matched his fervor, never missing an opportunity for self-improvement. In just 10 days, she had broken to the mid-level of the first rank. The companion beast was still the Ice Shard Serpent, now at first tier mid-level, with potential advancement to fourth tier upper level. Ethan, meanwhile, consumed every remaining Extreme Ice Pill and Kian Blood Pill. Though Extreme Ice Illusion Killing Array was only SS grade, it remained an Ice-type skill book. With his own relentless effort and Thomas's expert guidance, 10 days stayed enough for him to reach a beginner level of proficiency. The moment the array appeared on his panel, Ethan decisively pressed the button beside it. The evolution points were deducted by 120. Extreme Ice Illusion Killing Array advanced from SSS-beginner to SS-elementary. A massive torrent of memories flooded into Ethan's mind like a tidal wave. It was as if he had studied the skill book 1,000 times, mastering every nuance. At this point, he felt ready to wield the Extreme Ice Illusion Killing Array. Let me see just how powerful an SS-level skill truly is. Extreme Ice Illusion Killing Array. Ethan paused for a breath, gathering his focus. In an instant, a profound chill emanated from his body, blossoming into a cold mist that rapidly expanded outward. Wherever the fog passed, even the air seemed to tremble with unnatural cold. After spreading, the icy vapor began to coalesce and gather itself back around him. The blade of an ice sword slowly solidified, layers of pale blue crystalline structures piling up. Even the precise curve of the sword spine and the lethal sharpness of its tip were visualized in the frigid air. The weapon remained shrouded in a faint mist, a flowing curtain of cold light. In the blink of an eye, 8 complete ice swords materialized, suspended around Ethan at even intervals, held aloft by an invisible force. Simultaneously, Ethan felt more than 90% of his body's S-type elemental energy drain away. The moment his reserves were nearly depleted, a wave of weakness washed over him. Had Shubdane not caught him, he would have collapsed to the floor. Fortunately, this was a Class B training room, where the surrounding air was exceptionally rich in elemental energy. Following the principle of energy equilibrium between body and environment, Ethan acted like a vacuum cleaner, frantically absorbing the ambient elemental power. While instant replenishment was impossible, it was enough to quickly restore his complexion and allow him to stand upright once more. Each of these 8 ice swords can instantly fell a low-level third-tier ferocious beast. Together, he murmured, raising a finger, they might even be able to strike down a high-level third-tier beast. The 8 spectral blades began to rotate around him in a precise, mesmerizing pattern. They looked as cold as death itself, a truly oppressive spectacle. Excellent. Now we've the resources to sweep through the underground world of the school. Ethan smiled, nodding with profound satisfaction. Seeing this, Xiao Bing gently swayed her long, thin tail, her movements suggesting a deep happiness for her master's success. As night fell, the surrounding streetlights flickered on like scattered stars. After concluding his training for the day, Ethan left the Crystal Spire Hall and headed to the cafeteria for some late-night snacks. He made sure to buy Xiao Bing her favorite roast chicken. Just then, Ethan's phone rang. "Ethan, your weapon is complete." It was a call from Hayes, the dean of the Martial Arts Academy. Hearing the details of the conversation, Ethan felt an immediate surge of excitement, his heart thrumming with palpable anticipation. Though Hayes had sent the blueprints days ago, the mere knowledge that the actual product existed still sparked a profound excitement within Ethan. Yet, it was later time ill-suited for visiting someone's home. He could only quell his eagerness, settling instead for the quiet anticipation of dawn. The next day arrived with the promise of new beginnings. Having already arranged a meeting with Hayes by phone, Ethan rose early and took his companion beast, Xiao Bing, out with him. "Hey, Ethan. Wanna come together?" A melodious voice drifted from behind him. Ethan didn't even need to turn around to know the source. It was Clara, from the dormitory opposite his own. They shared a habit of jogging each morning. Moreover, their dormitories were separated by little more than a winding road, making accidental encounters inevitable. Thus, they often ran together in the crisp morning air. "No, I have other things to do." Ethan shook his head gently, declining. He still had an appointment at Hayes' residence, and he couldn't afford distractions. "All right." Clara's eyelids lowered slightly upon hearing his refusal. Her gaze darkened momentarily, but she setting more before turning and jogging away with her companion beast, Xiao Lan. A soft roar erupted from Little Blue, followed by a tiny bubble spat out toward Little Ice. The bubbles burst, scattering a small amount of water over Xiao Bing's coat. This was the Deepwater Dragon clan's peculiar way of expressing camaraderie. Xiao Bing shook its body, its slender tail swaying in rhythmic arcs. Simultaneously, the slight opening and closing of its scales served as another silent gesture of affection. With Xiao Bing perched comfortably on his shoulder, they arrived at Hayes' residence via a shared electric scooter. Before the grand entrance stood uniformed bodyguards and a meticulous housekeeper overseeing the daily life within. The elderly butler gestured for them to enter. "Is this Ethan? Din Hayes is already waiting for you inside." Ethan nodded slowly and followed the old butler into the house. Inside Hayes' residence, Ethan's eyes instinctively scanned the surroundings. While the general layout echoed that of his teacher, Thomas, the color palette was strikingly different. Thomas's home had been steeped in ice blue tones from the sofas and coffee tables to the very floors. It was an undeniable truth. Here, within Hayes' residence, red and black dominated every corner. Ethan felt a pang of nostalgia. He always found a faint comfort in the sight of ice blue. It seems that the primal energy flowing through a person can subtly alter their environment. Ethan murmured to himself, pondering the shift. "Dear Ethan, I have arrived," he called out, spotting an unusually tall and imposing figure lounging on the sofa. A sigh escaped him, a silent acknowledgement of how truly worthy this man was of his title as a master of the fighting style. "Ethan." Hayes stood up from the cushions, offering a welcoming smile. "Your weapon is in the forging room. Come with me." Following Hayes, Ethan entered the forge. The chamber was vast, spanning nearly 1,000 square meters. In one corner, encased in crystalline ice, lay a long spear. With a sharp clang, Hayes stepped forward and retrieved it from the frozen depths. Shards of ice scattered across the ground, releasing a chilling aura. What true Ethan was the weapon itself. Its shaft was entirely obsidian black, devoid of any luster. The spearhead was sharply triangular and armor-like, cover a thin layer of frost that didn't melt but instead caught the light, reflecting a cold, razor edge. Intersecting ice crack patterns were engraved along the tip, resembling the marks left by a sudden fissure in frozen earth, a design brimming with latent power. The shaft seemed inert, as if its true potential was yet to be activated. "Ethan, come on. Let's try it out exactly as you requested." Hayes laughed and handed the spear over. The moment Tan took hold of the weapon, a wave of curiosity washed over him. The spear felt profoundly top-heavy. The material at the tip possessed an extreme density, making it weighty. Conversely, the shaft was surprisingly light, softer than iron of comparable volume. feeling almost like cotton in his current state. Try injecting some of your body's primal energy into it, Hayes instructed with a knowing smile. Wes Dean Hayes. Ethan followed the advice. As the yuan and energy within him gradually flowed into the spear, the originally dark and dull shaft transformed into a brilliant silvery white. Where before were merely black engravings, now they pulsed with an icy blue luminescence. Furthermore, its surface shimmered with fine, cold silver light, giving of the rail chill even when still. More remarkably, the weapon grew heavier. The more elemental energy he poured in, the greater the weight became. Soon the shaft matched the density of the spearhead. The weight of the shaft has changed, Ethan exclaimed, a genuine thrill coloring his voice. He quickly raised the spear and thrust it forward several times with incredible speed, creating a whistling sound that seemed to pierce the very air. If he looked closely, tiny frost crystals formed where the tip passed. After several powerful strikes, Ethan felt no resistance whatsoever. The spear moved as if it were an extension of his own arm, resonating with him on a deeper, psychological level. Cool. He narrowed his eyes slightly and sighed contentedly after retracting the weapon. Ethan, Hayes explained, who the shaft is forged from S-grade resource ice vein or crystal and other rare metals. Once infused with elemental energy, its weight will change dramatically. He patted his chest confidently. It can reach a maximum weight of over 4,280 kilograms, the caliber of an S-class spear. As your strength increases, the head can be replaced. You could say this weapon is more than enough for you to use throughout your entire 4 years at university. Thank you so much. Ethan bowed slightly, his gratitude clear. It's nothing really. Hayes dismissed it with a wave of his hand, as if he had performed only a trivial favor. But how could Ethan not recognize the immense value of this spear? If it were displayed publicly, even an offer of tens of millions of blue star coins would incite a fierce bidding war. The engravings reveal an icy blue luster, and a silvery cold light flows across their surface. A sudden idea struck Ethan. Let's call it the Cold River Sky-Splitting Spear. As if responding to his thought, the icy blue luminescence on the spear did not fade. It seemed to deepen slightly. I have mastered the SS-level skill, Extreme Ice Illusion Annihilation Array. Furthermore, I possess a Cold River Sky-Splitting Spear, a weapon that feels akin to a divine artifact in my grasp. With these assets, sweeping away the depths of this underground world within the Academy will be effortless. The burning ambition that once fueled him had long since cooled into cold certainty. With the prestigious freshman competition looming from the 4 great universities, the time for mere preparation was over. It was time to accelerate his power exponentially. Returning to his dormitory with the newly acquired Cold River Sky-Splitting Spear, Ethan's mind was already alight with a plan. With a mere thought, he summoned the system panel to assess his current capabilities. His name is Ethan. He has 600 evolution points. His special ability is Ice Crown, rated S. His realm level is mid-second tier. His spirit rating is 564 Hz. His QI and blood reserves are 1,190 calories. His skills include Marksmanship Advanced, Melee Combat Intermediate, Ice Sharpen D Intermediate upgraded, Ice Flash B Intermediate, Ice Blade A Intermediate, Frozen Shield A Intermediate, Ice Blast S Intermediate, Detective Skill S Beginner, and Extreme Ice Annihilation Array SS- Beginner. His companion beast is Ice Shard Serpent Tier 1 Mid-Tier/Tier 4 High Tier. After reviewing the data, a profound satisfaction bloomed across Ethan's face. Wait. This Ice Ring's proficiency can actually be upgraded. Ethan raised an eyebrow, then tapped the upgrade button next to Ice Shard Ring. Evolution points -600. Ice Shard Ring D Intermediate becomes Ice Shard Ring D Advanced. A torrent of memories flooded his consciousness, absorbed by Ethan with effortless speed. At that moment, the 4 icicles surrounding his body shimmered and expanded into 5. Correspondingly, the internal activation level of his ice-type elemental energy surged upward. Next, Ethan arrived at the mission center. He now possessed the qualifications to undertake A-level missions. Such a task would reward him with a substantial 100 to 300 credits upon completion, a decent supplementary income. Even for someone who had just amassed such vast resources during the freshman competition. Rank A missions were not perpetually available, they required demand. Fortunately, fate smiled upon Ethan. After placing his student ID against the task display screen, a striking purple glow pulsed amidst the sea of white, green, and blue indicators. Purple represented a level assignment, a fact Michael had mentioned long ago, and Ethan was keenly aware of its significance. Rank A Mission 1 Flaming Tiger Whip, minimum mid-tier 3rd tier. Completion reward 175 credits. Perfect, mission lit up his eyes. Within the underground world beneath Aethelgard Academy, high-level ferocious beasts like the flaming tiger were still prevalent and accounted for a significant portion of the threat. Ethan did not hesitate, he accepted the task with decisive finality. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the bustling mission center, Captain, an A-level mission was snatched. I apologize, I was too slow. One member of the Silver Wolf team spoke, regret heavy in his voice. It's fine, the vice captain waved a dismissive hand. He's just fast, he deserves it. At the same time, Sarah, the captain, fixed her purple gaze on a tall, handsome figure across the center, Ethan, who had just accepted the A-level mission. Ryan had once mentioned that the winner of this year's freshman competition had refused his offer to join their team. Sarah didn't dwell on the rejection, everyone was free to choose. If Ryan forced Ethan into their ranks, she would only incur further blame. What truly bothered her was that this freshman named Ethan had single-handed felled a 3rd-tier lower-level flame tiger during the competition. As the 3-year reigning champion, she felt compelled to compare herself to him, believing she could never have achieved such feat at that time. At best, they could only win by a razor's edge. She needed assurance. After graduating from Aethelgard Academy, someone had to assume the mantle of leadership. Of course, she quickly suppressed her thoughts. After casting one last glance at Ethan, Sarah led the rest of the Silver Wolf team away. As their eyes met, Ethan felt the weight of her gaze. Seeing that only lingered briefly and held no overt malice, he dismissed it. He was not a regular visitor to the mission center. Currently, having entered the underground world only 3 times and completed just 5 missions, his current standing remained at level 2, meaning he could only accept 2 concurrent missions. He had accepted 1 A-level and 1 B-level task, netting him exactly 200 credits. With the mission secured, Ethan proceeded to the school's resource trading office. He spent a considerable amount of blue star coins purchasing a variety of pills and potions. Notably, he also acquired a swiftness pill. Ethan had a deep understanding of this item. Without it, he would likely have perished in the jaws of that flaming tiger long ago. None of this would have been possible. Though he was confident in his ability to wipe out the underground world within the school, as the saying goes, better safe than sorry. Caution remained paramount. After gathering all necessary supplies, Ethan returned to his dormitory. Even with his immense confidence, conserving energy before venturing into the depths was an essential step. So, at 9 o'clock in the evening, while many students were still engaged in self-study sessions, Ethan, a college freshman, was already tucked into bed and asleep. The next day dawned. Ethan awoke naturally, long before his alarm clock could sound. He donned his battle armor, fastened his spatial ring, and brought along his companion beast, Xiaobing. Athirst his mind a crucial question: after Xiaobing kills ferocious beasts alone, will it be able to earn evolution points for itself? If so, the rate of its growth would accelerate dramatically. Xiaobing murmured, stroking the serpent's smooth head. If you intend to progress further, you must work harder and defeat monsters on your own merit. You must earn your own evolution points. Master. Xiaobing looked utterly bewildered. It knew that fulfilling this request would bring joy to its owner, and that was reward enough. This was the subterranean heart of the academy, a labyrinthine world beneath the polished veneer of civilization. Whispers followed him like an invisible current. Look. Isn't he breathtakingly handsome? What good is beauty? Can flawless features fill your stomach? Wait, isn't that Ethan? The victor of this year's freshman competition. The moment Ethan stepped into Aethelberg Citadel, the air itself seemed to vibrate with hushed speculation. Yet, he remained unmoved by the surrounding murmurs, walking through them as if they were merely background noise. Beside him moved Xiaobing, his silent companion beast. Leaving the bustle of Aethelberg Citadel behind, Ethan chose a direction at random and ventured deeper into the sprawling underground metropolis. After only a few paces, though no wind stirred the air, a subtle, Dry rustling sound began to permeate the silence. The attention was palpable. Ethan's day swept around, instantly alert. A nearby thicket of bushes shifted, betraying movement. In the next instant, a figure detached itself from the shadows of a feline beast, marked by a faint crescent moon etched upon its brow. It was clearly one of the lesser creatures, the shadow cat. Go Xiaobing. Ethan's mind reached out, sending a silent command to his companion. Any ferocious beast active so close to Aethelberg's citadel must be at least Tier 1 low rank. At this level, he could dispatch it with a single strike of his ice blade. But he had his own reasons for deploying Xiaobing. It was time to test the theories that had been forming in his mind. Wester. Xiaobing dipped her serpentine head in acknowledgement. A fierce energy pulsed within her. This was the first task assigned by her owner. She needed to perform flawlessly, and absolutely could not disappoint him. With a sudden burst of speed, Xiaobing darted forward, an icy brilliance flashing deep within her sapphire pupils. The shadow cat let out 2 mocking yelps, already showing signs of panic. Xiaobing moved with decisive grace, pouncing and sinking her teeth into the shadow cat's thigh. The moment her sharp fangs pierced the creature's flesh, a torrent of ice elemental energy flooded through the wound. The shadow cat struggled desperately to break free, but as the cold power continued to flow into it, its movements grew sluggish, its strength rapidly draining away. Soon, the shadow cat collapsed beneath Xiaobing's fangs, its life extinguished in a burst of crystalline frost. At that precise moment, a pleasant chime echoed in Ethan's mind. He realized his companion beast had slain a Tier 1 low-rank ferocious beast, granting him 10 evolution points. As expected, Ethan murmured, a faint smile touching his lips. When Xiaobing kills a beast, I gain the corresponding evolution points. No matter how much he had speculated before, it was all conjecture. He could never be 100% certain that his ideas were viable. But this system notification was undeniable proof, absolute authority. After confirming the mission's perfect completion, Xiaobing trotted back to Ethan's side and lifted her head with evident pride. As her master, Ethan understood her intent. Alright, he reached out, stroking the smooth crown of her head. I will grant your wish. Xiaobing closed her eyes slightly, settling into a state of deep contentment. Bing. Remain in this area and hunt down any ferocious beasts you can find. Then wait for my next instructions. Ethan spoke with grave seriousness. Since killing these creatures provided him with evolution points, and given that Xiao Ice had not yet fully matured, he needed to venture deeper alone, leaving Xiaobing behind to secure the resources. Yes, master. Though a pang of reluctance crossed her heart, Xiaobing knew her master must have his reasons. As a companion beast, obedience was paramount. Any unnecessary action could only complicate things for him. She nodded with perfect compliance. Don't worry, Ethan reassured her, then departed. Xiaobing watched his retreating figure. The icy blue pupils, momentarily clouded with hesitation, hardened instantly into unwavering resolve. It is, she thought to herself. Time to hunt. Ethan continued deeper into the depths alone. The ferocious beasts he encountered posed no threat whatsoever. To date, his iced blade was powerful enough to kill a typical mid-tier second-level beast outright. Even against an armored rhinoceros, a creature notorious for its impenetrable defense, it only required one more focused shot. He received 10 evolution points for defeating the Tier 1 low-rank shadow cat, and 20 additional points for defeating a Tier 1 mid-tier black-spotted deer. With the addition of his S-rank skill, detective technique, and the consistent help from Xiaobing, Ethan's evolution point count skyrocketed like a rocket. Day 1 brought 500 evolution points gained, followed by 700 on Day 2. In previous freshman competitions, energy potions were severely rationed, averaging only 1 bottle per day, and they were merely Tier 1 grade. For Ethan, who was already approaching the lower levels of the second tier, this supply had become dangerously insufficient. But things were different now. Ethan carried a full cache of 50 bottles of second-tier energy potions. It wasn't that he lacked stamina. It was that his body simply couldn't process such an immense influx of power. Therefore, Ethan began using Ice Flash intermittently for travel. This timing was incredibly precise. The consumption rate barely exceeded the body's natural recovery cycle, a deficit almost equal to the total elemental energy provided by 3 second-tier potions. It works. On the very second night, Ethan reached the deepest point of this underground world. He stopped advancing, lit a campfire, and pitched his tent. Then, he grilled the fresh meat from the ferocious beasts hunted that day, seasoning it with cumin. The aroma was intoxicating. Ethan ate his barbecue while gazing up at the full moon slicing through the cavern ceiling. A myriad of emotions swelled in his chest. This scene it made him ache for his time with the Firefox team. Yet, ambition is a relentless current, one must always look forward. Some memories are simply meant to be cherished, not clung to. We haven't practiced our marksmanship yet. After a brief moment of digestion, Ethan stood up, his gaze hardening with renewed purpose. By the flickering light of the campfire, they began honing their aim. 2 hours dissolved into the passing time. Hey! Hey! Kevin's sky-splitting spear was thrust out again and again. Suddenly, Ethan realized that after so much practice, he felt neither fatigue nor exhaustion, only a growing, profound mastery. Could it be that the most direct path to verifying any theory was to open the panel? After all, only the control interface could reflect one's true, real-time status. Ethan's mind stirred, and the system panel snapped into existence before him. It displayed his name, Ethan, his evolution points total of 1200, his Qui and blood level of 1191 calories, his skill and gunplay at master rank, his body tempering technique, profound nether ice soul body, which was at a second level, and his companion beast, the ice shard serpent, described as being at a mid-tier 1 and high tier 4. There is no plus sign after marksmanship. Could I be mistaken? A sudden electric jolt of realization shot through him. He felt as though his marksmanship had undergone a massive leap, his progress surging forward dramatically. He currently held 1200 evolution points. It had been an eternity since he had broken through to the advanced proficiency level in gunplay. Yet, the familiar upward arrow remained stubbornly absent beside gunplay, suggesting he was simply overthinking things. Sigh. I wonder my marksmanship will finally reach master. Ethan shook his head slightly, a soft sigh escaping him. Just yesterday, Teacher Thomas had promised that once his gunplay reached the master level, he would gift him an SS-grade skill book. Moreover, unlike Sketch's ice explosion, or extreme ice illusion killing RA, which momentarily drained the user's strength, this particular skill was known for its persistent nature. It grew stronger the longer the fight raged. A true champion must possess both explosive power and enduring stamina. Once I accumulate enough evolution points, I will immediately invest in my marksmanship. The Thorpes licked a flicker of genuine excitement within him. In his eagerness, Ethan glanced at the panel several more times. He was just about to dismiss the interface, when something crucial caught his eye. My marksmanship, it has reached master level. Am I hallucinating this? Ethan's eyes widened in sudden disbelief. After rubbing hard and confirming that the system panel before him had not changed at all, a sharp, brilliant light flashed through his pupils. He was utterly electrified. This was the first time he had experienced such a complete self-driven improvement in proficiency. From advanced to master, all achieved without spending even a single evolution point. While using points for advancement was certainly gratifying, relying solely on one's own grit felt like the purest form of triumph. Wait a minute. No, this reasoning is flawed. Evolution points were earned through the brutal process of slaying ferocious beasts. The system did not simply grant them out, just because he logged in every day. The morning of the third day arrived. They had ventured into deeper, more volatile regions, and the rate at which they accrued evolution points accelerated sharply. In less than an hour, Ethan gained 300 points. At this point, his total reached 1,500 evolution points, and he noticed a change. A companion beast, Ice Shard Serpent, now listed as being at a mid-rank 1 with an upward arrow, and high rank 4. Little Ice had broken through its current realm. Piper, find us a safe and secluded location, Ethan commanded mentally. But he knew that breaking through a cultivation level was not an overnight miracle. It required time to stabilize. After the contract formed, the bond between master and companion beast established a unique mental link, allowing them to communicate regardless of distance. Yes, master. Piper asked no further questions. She trusted her master implicitly and obeyed without hesitation. About 10 minutes later, Piper reported that she had found an ideal spot. Ethan pressed the upgrade button. The system deducted 1,500 evolution points. Ice Shard Serpent, moving from a mid-tier 1 and high-tier 4, upgraded to a high-tier 1 and high-tier 4. Only by becoming stronger could Piper hunt more powerful beasts and earn evolution points for herself faster. The benefits to her own survival far outweighed the cost of those 1,500 points. Most critically, while ferocious beasts were driven by bloodlust, companion beasts were affected only minimally, a vast difference from his own human condition. If I can survive in this underground world for 2 weeks a month under extreme duress, Piper'd last at least 20 days, perhaps even 25. After several well-coordinated moves, the conclusion was clear: investing in Piper was an investment in their shared future. Master, I have broken through to a higher realm. Piper did not grasp the underlying principles. She could not fathom that Ethan's system was the source of her breakthrough. But for her, reaching a new level was a profound and genuine joy. It meant greater protection and aid for her owner. Piper, keep up this incredible work, Ethan offered words of encouragement. For several days afterward, the accumulation continued in relentless waves. On the third day, he gained 1,800 evolution points. On the fourth, a second-tier high-level beast appeared before him, netting him 4,000 points. Ethan originally planned to continue boosting Piper's power, but the system flashed a warning. She was not the owner of the system, and required a cooldown period after such a major breakthrough. On this day, he encountered 2 low-level third-tier beasts, both slightly weaker than the flaming tiger of the same realm. One provided 3,400 points, the other 3,600. By the end of that 5th day, Ethan had amassed an incredible total 11,000 evolution points. On the 5th night, he opened the panel and stared at the figure. Evolution points 18,000. A whopping 18,000 evolution points, all earned through sheer effort. Ethan could not help but smile, a genuine sense of pride warming his chest. There was no resisting this urge. He focused on the next major upgrade. Realm level mid-second tier with an upward arrow. Ethan estimated he was still far from breaking through his body tempering technique, but not by much. Of all remaining options, improving his cultivation level remained the most cost-effective gamble. Then, the system deducted 8,500 evolution points, realm level mid-tier 2 upgraded to upper tier 2. 10 days of grueling training had significantly reduced the points required for this breakthrough. The moment Ethan pressed up arrow, an unprecedented surge of pure yuan energy erupted from his body. It was a turbulent surging wave of elemental force. Ethan quickly closed his eyes, letting himself ride the process. Such a terrifying burst of raw energy awakened many of the ferocious beasts that had been slumbering nearby. The sheer output caused them to tremble violently. They could only speculate in their minds that no amount of effort would ever draw them out for investigation. But one passing beast happened to catch the wave, and it paused, its massive form frozen by a look of utter surprise. This mid-tier second-level frost lion cub had just completed his daily hunt, the scent of fresh kill clinging to his coat. As he trotted back toward the safety of his lair, a sudden anomaly caught his attention: Ethan, who was visibly struggling through a breakthrough to the next realm. The ice lion's eyes flared with predatory excitement. His father was a tier 3 high-ranking ice lion, a creature considered an overlord even in this subterranean world. Yet, he had hit a rigid bottleneck, trapped at the upper echelon of the 3rd tier, unable to push past the barrier. And now here stood a being who had shattered through into a higher realm, radiating a torrent of yuan energy so terrifying it felt like raw elemental force. Perhaps, the cub mused, after my father consumes this power, his cultivation will naturally break through. As for the risk of retaliation, he dismissed the possibility as minuscule. His father was a high-ranking official of the 3rd rank. What could possibly dare to strike him down? What could even wound him? If his father managed to truly ascend to the 4th rank, wouldn't his reliance on this cub become exponentially greater? The cold-blooded lion cub smiled, a slow, arrogant curve of the muzzle, as if he already possessed a crystal ball showing nothing but his own brilliant future. Meanwhile, Ethan remained utterly oblivious to the predatory gaze fixed upon him. Even if he were aware of the danger, he likely wouldn't have given it a second thought. As the almost violent ice-type elemental energy within his body finally began to stabilize, Ethan opened his eyes and exhaled a breath of faintly turbid air. A system window shimmered into existence before him. Name: Ethan. Evolution points 9,500 spirit, 654 Hz Chi and blood. 1391 calories. Realm level upper second tier. Skill gunplay, master body tempering technique, profound nether ice soul body. Second level companion beast, ice shard serpent. Tier 1 higher 4 high. Having broken through to the upper level of the second tier, I still retain 9,500 evolution points, he murmured. I estimate that by tomorrow, or at most the day after, I will accumulate enough resources to break into the lower third tier. A surge of quiet pride warmed his chest, causing the corners of his mouth to lift slightly. 4 top universities freshman competition, here we come. Among freshman competitors, the realm of the lower third rank was an undeniable force, a near-invincible existence. Furthermore, he had mastered this S-level skill, Extreme Illusion Killing Array, granting him a means to challenge opponents far above his current level. Little Blue, water jet attack, Clara commanded. Following the master's directive, Little Blue opened its mouth and spat forth a concentrated stream of water. Do not be fooled by the appearance. It looked like nothing more than a mundane tap spray. Its impact was devastating. Before their eyes, a second terror-level burrowing squirrel was instantly torn into pieces by the sheer force of the blast. If this were merely a real-world faucet, it would only be suitable for bathing and cooling off. The difference lay in the abundant elemental energy woven into every drop of water. Little Blue. Excellent, Clara praised. He. Thank you for the compliment, Master. Grace's adorable voice echoed warmly in her heart. After witnessing Ethan's sheer power during the freshman competition, Clara had become fiercely determined to improve herself. Originally, she had spent weeks accumulating experience at the upper-level first rank. Just days ago, she successfully broke through to the lower level of the second tier, a massive leap in strength. In contrast, companion beast, Little Blue, was only truly motivated by the words eat and sleep. When it came to training, Clara admitted she was rather lazy. In any case, her own strength needed rapid improvement. So, she had brought Grace deep into this underground world for intensive training. Ferocious beasts grew stronger through combat and consumption. Even if a companion beast lacked its wild bloodlust, the relentless pressure of the fighting environment could still accelerate its growth exponentially. To maximize efficiency and save travel time, Clara even purchased an off-road vehicle. Her ring, with its enormous 100 cubic meter capacity, could easily accommodate an SUV. I wonder if this has awakened my true nature. The moment Grace arrived in the underground world, the little dragon perked up instantly. The training proved incredibly effective. Just as Clara offered praise to Little Blue, her superpower, Natural Spirit, gave a sudden, ominous warning. A fiery tiger was charging toward them at high speed. Judging by its bulk, this creature was at least in the mid-stage of the third rank. While Grace, a water-type companion beast, perfectly countered the fire element, there was still a significant gap. Little Blue had only recently reached the lower second tier, while the flaming tiger stood firmly in the middle of the third. And for Clara herself, her grass-type ability was severely disadvantaged against such a powerful flame foe. Little Blue, run. Without hesitation, Clara scooped up Grace and sprinted toward the parked SUV nearby. A massive explosion echoed behind them, so powerful it made the very ground tremble slightly. Curiosity had demanded a price, but safety was paramount, and Clara did not dare look back. After she secured herself inside the off-road vehicle with Grace cradled in her arms, she risked a glance over her shoulder at where the flaming tiger had been. What came into view was nothing like a flaming tiger. It was merely a gruesome mixture of bones and torn flesh. A head, cleaved in half, bore an incomplete character, the symbol for Arth, on its forehead, barely recognizable as the beast she expected. As the thick smoke finally dissipated, a tall, imposing figure slowly materialized before Clara's eyes. Ethan, she gasped, utterly taken aback. She never imagined that such a massive commotion was orchestrated by him. Clara, what are you doing here? Ethan also noticed her, his expression tinged with mild bewilderment. I brought Grace here for training, she explained quickly. The freshman competition from the 4 prestigious universities is fast approaching. She paused and added with a playful lilt, and Ethan, I'm at the lower second tier now. It's still quite difficult to surpass you. But don't even think about leaving me too far behind. Ethan merely smiled, a simple, unreadable curve of the lips, neither confirming nor denying her statement. He then down and began rummaging through the large pile of debris, searching for something specific. Claire also perched low, resting her hands on her knees, allowing a slight glimpse of her skin, but she paid it no mind. Instead, she asked, "Ethan, what are you looking for?" "Deed not." Ethan waved his hand dismissively, continuing his search while indicating his refusal. The next second, he straightened up, his handsome face suddenly alight with surprise. Clara's gaze immediately dropped to his hands. On his left was a large, fiery red crystal, and on his right was the tiger whip of the fiery tiger. This is, it be that Ethan. Seeing these items, Clara's small mouth parted slightly, unable to suppress her guess. After being introduced to science by her best friend Amelia, she knew instantly that this was a matter of male dignity, a question that should never be asked. The mischievous glint in Clara's eyes left Ethan feeling profoundly perplexed. As far as he knew, she was a woman who possessed both effusive enthusiasm and profound thoughtfulness. Yet this expression was so fleeting that Ethan dismissed it, not taking it seriously at all. If he had been privy to the true thoughts swirling behind her gaze, he suspected he would have collapsed instantly. One could say whatever they wished about a man, but never suggest he was utterly worthless. Humans were complex creatures of social instinct. For several days, Ethan had hunted ferocious beasts alone in the subterranean depths. A system notification flashed before him. He had defeated the Tier 3 mid-level ferocious beast, the flaming tiger, gaining 7,000 evolution points. Now, he had stumbled into someone familiar, and the kill of that formidable flame tiger had yielded such a substantial cache of evolution points. When one was in a state of exhilaration, it was inevitable that words would spill out. Ethan was no oblivious fool. On the contrary, his emotional intelligence was quite high. Suddenly her bright smile evaporated, replaced by an expression of stark solemnity. Seeing this shift, Ethan instinctively activated his detective technique. After a slight drain on his mental energy, he could sense information spanning several kilometers around them. They had encountered an ice lion charging toward them. It was built with robust power and exuded a palpable chill. Its fur was the color of pale blue or white, seeming coated in a thick layer of frost that shimmered with a cold luminescence under the light. A mane of razor-sharp icicles framed its head, each crystalline spike standing rigid and radiating deep cold. At the tip of its tail were spikes composed of multiple, clustered ice crystals. As it raced at full speed, its tail swayed rhythmically, causing the ice shards to collide with a sharp, brittle tinkle. "This ice lion, it's upper level Tier 3, Ethan murmured softly, his eyes narrowed in assessment. "Come with me, my SUV is parked nearby. Get inside, this ice lion won't be able to catch us." Clara's voice held a thread of genuine anxiety. Seeing Ethan remained utterly unmoved, she even considered reaching out to pull him away. But then Ethan moved. He didn't run away. Instead, he took impossibly fast strides and charged straight toward the oncoming beast. Killing a Tier 3 high-level ferocious beast should earn at least 10,000 evolution points, right? This was the singular thought driving him. Evolution points were the primary currency of survival. The man and the lion met in a flash of cold air. This human is intriguing. The Islo narrowed its eyes, slowing its charge slightly. Instead of fleeing when faced with me, he dares to attack. Through some mysterious intuition, it realized that Ethan was likely the person its beloved son had mentioned yesterday. This realization only fueled its excitement. Perhaps this is the perfect opportunity for me to break through my bottleneck and advance to the 4th level. During the sprint, Ethan downed a specially formulated berserk potion. In rare cases such as dragon-type versus dragon-type combat, damage between members of the same type could be partially mitigated. For instance, Ethan's frozen shield possessed an enhanced ability to absorb ice damage compared to other types. The same logic applied here at Ethan's attack, which would drain every last reserve of his internal energy, might not instantly kill it. To ensure Lion had no chance to escape, he chose the berserk potion. This special edition was a diluted version that Thomas had meticulously prepared for him. The damage increase was less than a standard rage potion, approximately 25%, but the side effects were negligible. It only allowed for the mobilization of a tiny amount of stored bodily energy over 2 hours. He could afford this risk. Extreme ice illusion killing array, Ethan muttered to himself. In an instant, terrifying primal energy erupted from his body and swept outward in a continuous wave. Soon, that raw energy materialized into 8 spectral ice swords that began to surround him. Wrong. Seeing the attack coming, the ice lion, which had been so confident just moments before, whipped around and fled like a cornered animal. It even wrapped itself in a makeshift shield, desperately trying to withstand Ethan's onslaught. "I knew you'd try to run. You still want to escape? You are finished." Ethan smiled, the confidence ringing in his voice. The shield proved utterly useless. The ice swords shattered upon contact. The frost lion was systematically dismantled, its neck, its body, its thighs, its tail, all cleaved apart by the relentless barrage of ice blades, accompanied by a series of mournful, agonizing cries. All that remained was a half-dead head, but severed from its body it could not survive. The last head slowly closed its eyes, signaling the final death of the beast. At that moment, a system notification chimed in Ethan's ear. He had defeated the Tier 3 high-rank ferocious beast, the Frost Lion, and gained 15,000 evolution points. 15,000 evolution points this time. Ethan's eyes snapped open. He quickly opened his system panel to check the total. His current evolution point count was 3,350. Though he was utterly drained, feeling as if every drop of energy had been wrung from him, seeing that number made it all worthwhile. 30,000 evolution points, it was a monumental sum. His strength had advanced by leaps and bounds after this haul. Clara, who had witnessed the entire brutal display, trembled slightly. Her almond-shaped eyes were wide with shock. Ethan had instantly killed something as powerful as a Tier 3 high-level beast. It was crucial to remember that killing in an instant and simply defeating were two vastly different things. After he elected the Ice Lion's crystals and several vital organs, the effects of the specially formulated Berserk potion began to wear off. The side effects followed swiftly. In a flash, his legs ached, and he collapsed onto the cold ground. Even having taken an energy potion beforehand offered little defense against this crash. "Ethan." Onyor rushed forward. Clara rushed, kneeling beside him, and extended her hand. He hesitated for a moment, but under the steady gaze of concern in Clara's eyes, he finally reached out and took her hand. Even with her support to stand up, Ethan felt profoundly unsteady. Noticing his weakness, Clara quickly activated her A-level skill, Vine Light Therapy. 2 thick vines sprouted from the ground, wrapping tightly around Ethan's body. They worked tirelessly, mitigating the severe side effects of the specialized Berserk potion. It was truly a superpower worthy of its S-class designation. Just 2 minutes later, Ethan felt significantly better. The debilitating inability to use his internal energy, the limitation imposed by the potion, was gone, except for Ice Explosion, an extreme ice illusion killing array. All his skills were once again available. "Thank you, Clara," he managed to say, a genuine wave of gratitude washing over him. Faced with Ethan's sincere gaze, Clara paused, a subtle turn of her head preceding a gentle wave of her hand. "No, you should not feel obligated. We are friends. Helping each other is simply natural." She blinked her beautiful, almond-shaped eyes, the question hanging in the air. "Ethan, are you planning to continue hunting ferocious beasts here?" It had been 3 days since she and her companion beast, Grace, had navigated the underground world. Their training was complete. It was time to return to the surface. "That," Ethan nodded, his response decisive, devoid of any hesitation. Clara mused, watching him go. Ethan must earned a fortune in Blue Star coins and credits after the freshman competition. He should not be spending all his time deep underground. She wondered if there was another reason for his fervent pursuit of beasts in this subterranean realm. She wondered if there was another reason for his fervent pursuit of beasts in this subterranean realm. She stared blankly at his receding figure, her mind a whirlwind of unanswered questions. A sudden realization began to dawn upon her. After parting ways with Clara, Ethan found a secluded spot to rest briefly before resuming the hunt. Ethan received notifications detailing his kills. He had defeated the Tier 2 superior ferocious beast, the blue-spotted tiger, gaining 1,000 evolution points. He also gained 4,000 evolution points from defeating the Tier 3 low-rank ferocious beast, the two-headed viper. Additionally, his companion beast defeated the mantis shrimp twice, earning 10 evolution points each time. A day bled into the next, and Ethan's account steadily accumulated evolution points. He focused on beasts of the second tier. Third-tier creatures were not easily encountered. With meticulous care, he poured his hard-won points into upgrading his S-level skill, Detector Technique. He spent 1,600 evolution points upgrading his S-level skill, Detective Technique, from beginner to intermediate. On this day alone, Ethan gained 7,000 evolution points, leaving him with a current balance of 38,900. The instant the skill upgraded, memories flooded his mind, a tidal wave of knowledge that felt almost overwhelming. He absorbed them like a dried sponge, frantically soaking up every detail. Once detective skill reached intermediate proficiency, its maximum detection radius extended to 6 kilometers centered on him. That was how they had stumbled upon the two-headed viper, which had ventured out merely for sustenance. There was no avoiding it, even with his skill's vast range. The underworld was colossal. The more powerful a beast, the more territorial it tended to be. It was impossible that all third-tier creatures congregated in one place. For the long haul ahead, detective skill will be invaluable. Ethan murmured to himself, determined to keep leveling it up. Another surge of points followed, and he spent 4,800 evolution points upgrading his S-level skill from intermediate to advanced. With 34,400 evolution points remaining, the sheer act of absorbing these mental memories drained Ethan's reserves. Only when his mental strength had nearly recovered did he decide to unleash a massive expenditure of energy. The next moment was blinding clarity. Every ferocious beast within a 10-kilometer radius snapped into sharp focus. Thea, a golden-feathered vulture, upper third tier. Ethan's face lit up with genuine delight. He could almost taste the reward, another 10,000 points beckoning him. 2 more days passed in grueling silence. Ethan's body began to protest. His endurance was nearing its breaking point. Not only was the bloodlust within him dangerously high, but he was physically and mentally depleted. When he finally looked into a mirror, his eyeballs were stained crimson, and his face was etched with profound exhaustion. He checked his status. His evolution points totaled 50,100. 50,000 points. Ethan breathed out, a sense of completion washing over him. It is time for me to go back. He simply turned and walked away from the underground world. The new student watched the others' accomplishments. Ethan had instantly killed Tier 3 low-level ferocious beast during the freshman competition. He thought to himself that 20 days had passed, and he refused to believe that dealing with a low-level third-tier beast was beyond his capability, let alone such a massive, heavy behemoth. A new student's eyes gleamed with renewed confidence as he looked at the armored rhinoceros. His name was Owen, and he had awakened the S-level poison ability, bone-corroding toxin. He had also ranked 5th in the 2052 freshman competition. The rhinoceros before him stood 3 meters tall, a low-tier third-tier beast. It charged toward Owen like a moving mountain, shaking the very ground beneath them. A torrential downpour of poison. Owen waved his hand. A curtain of purple raindrops rained down upon the charging behemoth. The armored rhinoceros did not flinch or dodge. It simply plowed straight through the rain, heading directly for Owen. The drop struck the rhino's thick armor, yet they failed to penetrate its defenses effectively. You think this is the end of it? As the rhinoceros absorbed the poisonous rain, Owen curled his lip and flung several daggers imbued with poisonous elemental energy. The blades struck the beast's head before ricocheting off. The injury negligible like a mosquito bite to a giant. The armored rhinoceros slammed its fist into the earth, sending an invisible seismic wave radiating outward from its massive form. Owen could not evade in time and was thrown back by the force. Sigh, this rhino is too durable. My skills feel like mere tickling. He dusted himself off, shaking his head with frustration. I wonder what level of attack would actually damage it. At that precise moment, a series of whooshing sounds cut through the air. Owen's gaze snapped to the area where he saw them. Razor-sharp as blades, they traced graceful, deadly arcs before striking the armored rhinoceros's armor. When the cold mist finally dissipated, Owen gasped. Groove's deep, unmistakable lines of damage marred the rhino's impenetrable shell.